Welcome back to the Dighton Development and Industrial Commission Local Business Spotlight, where we discuss issues that matter to you and your business. On behalf of the Commission, I am member and Town Treasurer Collector Paul Reynolds. Normally, we would be meeting this morning with a local business owner in order to interview them so that they can better inform residents about products and services that are available in our local community. The DDIC is always looking for new and engaging ways to support our business community. And in recent months, we have received an outpouring of curiosity from local business owners around taxes, specifically personal property versus real estate taxes, and how certain business assets are classified, valued, and taxed. So to that end, I'd like to extend a big thanks and a warm welcome to Town of Dighton Town Assessor Stephanie Schechter. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, Stephanie.
Thank you.
It's great to have you on the program.
It's good to be here.
Thank you. So how long have you worked for the Town of Dighton, Stephanie?
About 10 years within the assessor's office, a couple different positions I held.
Excellent. So I believe that you've worked your way up through the department, and now you are the department head in the position of town assessor after 10 years. Is that right?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. Fantastic. So thank you very much for joining us this morning, and we'll just dive right in. Some of our local business owners had some questions, and we really appreciate you coming to answer them. So what forms, if any, are businesses required to file annually with the assessor's office?
Businesses are required to file a form of list. A form of list contains owner name, the status of the business, and different items that they have within their business that they use, such as machinery, tools, equipment, even animals.
Even animals. That's very interesting. Now, for business owners who forget or are unaware of this requirement or otherwise neglect to file the required paperwork, is there a penalty for not filing the form of list?
No, we do not impose a penalty, but their inventory might be estimated, and they lose the opportunity to appeal or try to abate their value because they did not provide us with the information that we needed.
So, Stephanie, for my own edification, if I'm understanding that correctly, businesses disclose their assets that they use for their business operations on this form, and if it is not filled out, then the assessor's office must input an estimate for what that would be, and the business owner would lose the right to appeal in the case that that estimate was inaccurate.
Correct.
Is that fair?
Yep.
Interesting. It sounds like it would behoove somebody to want to fill that out.
You would think so.
Excellent. Now, let's talk about personal property. Can you define what personal property is as it applies to the assessor's office?
Well, personal property is anything that's used, tangible items, that inventory that's used within the business.
Could you give us a couple of examples for
Sure.
something that an example business might use?
The personal property would include for machinery, photocopier, laptop, fixtures. If it's like a construction company, it would include different machinery. So it all depends what the status and what they do decides what they get taxed on.
Now let's talk about vehicles. Is a commercial vehicle subject to both motor vehicle excise and personal property tax?
No.
It's a spot of good news.
Yes.
Now, how do assessors verify that an owner has reported its taxable personal property accurately and completely?
So we have a company that goes out there, RRC, and they have a representative that comes out, and they go to different businesses to verify what information from their former list and what they input into their system, they verify in case, someone was a hairdresser and they had a chair and now they don't have that chair. They would go in and they would remove it from their list. So it's important that they actually get into the businesses because the business could be being taxed more than it should if they remove an item that they have listed.
Interesting. So now, speaking of these items, are any of them exempt? Could you give us an example of something that might be exempt from personal property?
Depending on what the status of the business is, items that are in storage, in the original packaging, would not be part of that inventory on the personal property form. Manufacturing, they are exempt from paying their, pretty much everything, their machinery, everything, they're exempt. But that is a special form, I think 355Q, I think it is. Has to be filed with the state in order for them to be exempt and be under manufacturing.
So it sounds like there are select exemptions for manufacturers under certain circumstances if they're able to file particular paperwork.
Yep.
Very interesting. I didn't know that. Now, let's talk about businesses who move inventory from place to place. If the business has inventory or property that is frequently moved from place to place between towns, to which town is the tax paid?
So if the company or the business is in Dighton, and that is where everything is stored in Dighton, then the tax would be Dighton.
What about if, for example, I ran a company which sometimes stored my, let's say, bulldozer machinery in Dighton, but also during certain jobs or certain times stored it in an off-site satellite area that was, say, in Berkeley. Say I have another site that's in Berkeley or Rehoboth that I store them there for a part of the year.
I think wherever your business is, the city or town it's located, since it comes back, that bulldozer comes back to Dighton.
Okay, so wherever
So
the asset is principally situated, is that what you'd say?
Yes.
Interesting. Thank you very much. And now, what about if the personal property is leased?
The tax may be assessed to the person in possession of the property.
Okay, so the one who actually has possession of the asset.
Yes.
Interesting. And just to reiterate, vehicles are not subject to both motor vehicle excise and personal property. Is that correct?
Correct.
Excellent. I think that that's sometimes a concern by business owners that they don't want to incur double taxation. So I think that that's very good that you're able to dispel that for us. Thank you very
And
much.
if they had like a bulldozer, that is going to show up on their personal property.
Okay. Excellent. That's great to know. And now, are businesses run from a primary residence subject to commercial real estate property taxes? If so, how is the amount determined?
So, if we know that they have a business, and through the business certificate, through the town clerk, the portion of their property that has the business will be taxed at a commercial rate. So if someone does hairdressing out of their property, that back room or, the specifics to the business will be taxed.
Okay, so your office has a formula that they can apply to modify the taxes based on the percentage of the domicile that's being used for commercial purposes?
Yes.
That makes sense. And now, for businesses that are run from a primary residence, is there a minimum personal property valuation before being required to file forms or to pay a tax? Is there a minimum tax that they must pay? For example, if the total business assets are comprised only of a phone and a computer, is that something that would receive a personal property tax bill, or is there a minimum threshold that needs to be met?
So at this time, we do not have a small commercial exemption. Some towns have this in place. You have to go to the town, have it voted on at the town meetings. So I know Berkeley is a 5,000 value of the personal property, and they would not get a bill. And Somerset, I know, is 10,000. They would not get a bill. So at this time, we have not adopted that. I think we're looking into it and we're thinking about it. So if they have a phone and a laptop and they fill out their formal list, then they're going to be getting a personal property bill based on those two items.
Interesting, but that would be an option that a town could explore if it wished to impose a minimum threshold before personal property is taxed?
Yes. We would still need the formal list every year to verify that they haven't increased their items that they're taxed on and make sure they're still under that threshold.
And if they fail to do so, you said that your office may be required to input an estimate based on what it's considered likely they may have. Is that right?
Correct.
And if there was an inaccuracy there, they would be unable to dispute it?
Correct.
Sounds like it would behoove a business owner to make sure that that's filed. Now, if a business certificate is issued or renewed by the town clerk's office, does the business still need to also notify the assessor's office? If the business is a corporation or an LLC and on file with the Secretary of State's Department of Corporations, does it need to also notify the assessor's office?
A business is not required to notify the assessor's office. We work with the town clerk's office to get a list of business certificates. And we're really going to start going through and verifying the businesses that are on those lists.
Interesting. Now, let's talk about abatements. If there was an error in evaluation or something like that, is the abatement request process the same for commercial property tax and personal property tax as it is for the residential property tax or excise tax?
Yes, it's the same process. It would just be the month of January. So when the tax bills go out, the actual tax bills at the end of December or the beginning of January, they have that time to fill out the paperwork. We do have it online on the assessor's website. And it needs, the deadline is February 1st. But again, if they did not fill out a formal list and something is not correct, they are not able to appeal or get an abatement.
Interesting. That's great information. Stephanie, thank you very much for joining us today. We covered a lot of great material. I know that the factors that go into determining assessed property tax value and personal property are a bit more complex than we could really get into in depth today. So if there was a business owner who did still have questions or needed more information, where should they reach out?
They can reach out to our office. We're available Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 4:30, and Wednesday to 5:30. Or if they're more comfortable, they can email our office at assessors@dighton-ma.gov.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We extend our warm thanks to Town Assessor Stephanie Schechter for joining us this morning. Again, I am Dighton Development and Industrial Commission member and Town Treasurer Collector Paul Reynolds. This has been another episode of the Dighton Local Business Spotlight. Once again, the Spotlight is open to all local businesses which are in good standing with the town and are registered, principally headquartered in or predominantly serve the town of Dighton. If you would be interested in appearing on the program, please email the Dighton Development and Industrial Commission at ddic@dighton-ma.gov. Thank you very much again for joining us this morning, and we'll see you again soon.